Hey everybody, this is Erik Barath from INC and you're listening to Metal Wani.
Greetings from India, Mr. Erik Barath. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. It's an honor having you with us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Are we on?
That's cool. Now you gotta tell me about the new album because it blasts some seriously relentless metal in it, and that kind of puts some of the bigger names to shame.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. We worked really hard on it. We actually worked on it for almost 2 years, year and a half or so. And we really want to try a lot of new things on this one. So we did a lot of experimentation on this new album. And we're really happy the way it came out.
That's amazing. Now, how have your fans responded to the album? Because that's very important for you as a metal band, how your fans are going to perceive it.
So far, everyone who's responded to us personally, I've really liked the new direction of the band. I mean, we still kept a lot of our thrash elements, but people like that we expanded our style and sound, and they were pleasantly surprised. So far, so good.
Cool. Now, as a thrash, like you said, I've been a thrash metal maniac myself. I kind of like how you mix the sounds. I mean, I found a tinge of Pantera, some Alice in Chains. So many things are happening on the album, but at the same time, you guys easily managed to avoid, rehashing what you've already done.
Yeah, that was really important to us. We felt that it was time for us to sort of expand outwards. When we came back with Heaven Sent Hellbound, the last album, that's our first album back after 20 years of being apart.
Right.
We were really kind of trying to figure out who we wanted to be after being away for so long. And when we're done with the album, we kind of looked back and said, we should have probably tried more new things because we've grown, I mean, obviously, when you make an album when you're 18, 20, 21 years old, you're going to have one perspective. And then when you're 40 years old, you have a different perspective. And so we've grown as musicians and as a songwriter, I've grown. So on this album, I was like, you know what? Let's just try everything. Let's just not be afraid. And let's try a power ballad with acoustic guitar. Let's try a more rockin' sound. Let's try a kind of Cajun bluesy kind of sound. So we really expanded our horizons, and that's what we're going to continue doing long after this album.
That's amazing, because while traversing through the album, it was more like you guys were spreading your wings, mix of slower, muscular groove, and then the fast-paced stuff. Everything was packed.
Yeah, I really wanted to keep the listener off balance. So you listen to Stirring the Flock, you're like, wow, this album's going to be like 200 beats a minute, really fast. And then suddenly we go to Saint to Sinners, which is more of a kind of fist banging old school metal song. And then we go into Cyanide and Whiskey, which is like a Cajun sounding song. And, so every song has its own personal kind of DNA. It's its own unique style and song. So overall, you give the album a certain sort of title, but each song has its own unique piece of, like I said, DNA, unique personality. So we really wanted to do that. We really wanted to, like I said, every song have its own style, and it's something that we're working on some new material actually. So the new stuff is continuing in that vein.
Wow, it's just a few weeks from the release, and then you guys have already started working on a new album.
Well, I'm constantly writing, so even when Heaven Sent Hellbound was being mixed and mastered, I was already writing new material. So this album actually has been written for a year now. Wow. So it just took a little bit of time to get signed and to put it out there. So as soon as I was done writing it, I was writing new material. So I have probably about 25 new songs already.
Cool.
So we're always, to me, it's always about the future and what you have to offer for the future. So I'm always trying to come up with new things.
Right. So it's more like, you are a well-oiled metal machine.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you got to keep yourself fresh, because if you keep playing the same songs over and over again, because we just did a tour and, we did the same set every night pretty much. And I mean, we love the songs, but, because we play them all the time, and when we wrote them, we kept playing them over and over again, and practiced them over and over again, and then we recorded them over and over again.
Right.
You become stale as a band if you just keep doing the same song. So it's nice to keep adding new material. It keeps you feeling good, about the future, and keeps you fresh.
Absolutely. Now, talking about the tour, like you guys are done with it. So, how have the fans responded to the new material live? Because that's where magic happens.
Yeah, I mean, we've always prided ourselves as a live band, and it was really good to get out there finally for the first time in a long time. It was really good. We went out actually with a rock band, a band called Tantric. They had a platinum album some years ago.
Right.
And they're more of like a hard rock kind of band, a little bit like Creed, I guess I would compare them to. But it was interesting because every night was sort of like a war for us. We'd go out there, we'd have to win over the crowd. But by the second, third song, you see everyone's come to the front, and everyone had their fists up. So it was great. We learned that we can kind of cross over a little bit with fans. We don't have to have a thrash crowd in front of us. We could have a rock or a hard rock or a metal crowd. And because our music is so diverse, we can still work with that crowd and bring them over to our camp. So it was cool.
Absolutely. Now, talking about the album, the positive side, which I felt connected to, are the host of big chugging riffs and those healthy dose of harmonics. So even after so many, it's been almost 2.5 decades, you guys just unleash hell album after album.
Yeah, I mean, we were really stoked about this album, because we feel it's by far our best record musically, as far as each individual performance. Everyone feels really good about what they did. I as a guitar player and a songwriter, I feel like I'm just reaching my peak now, So it was very cool. I mean, I think INC could keep going for decades, and this was really the album where we found ourselves the second time, because like I said, coming back after a 20-year hiatus, it's really difficult to kind of know exactly who you are.
Absolutely.
As a songwriter within a genre, and so this album is where we really found our style and sound. So moving forward, I think there's going to be some exciting things in the future.
That's amazing. Now, being more of a thrash metal band, and then you talk about a concept album, it's very rarely been done in heavy metal when we have a thrash metal band and a concept being done together. So this album, you guys took the risk, and without any issues, you guys delivered flawlessly. So how, what sort of a mindset you guys had when you were working on the album?
Well, what happened was I was working on a record. I was actually writing the music for it. I hadn't written any lyrics yet, but I was writing a lot of the songs, just the music out. And then at the same time, I was sort of started writing a short story. I came up with a bit of a horror story, a horror movie, or whatever you want to call it. I was kind of writing up a treatment for that as well. And then I wrote, I think, the lyrics for Sainted Sinners. That was the first lyrics I wrote for the album. And I kind of read them back, and I was like, wow, this kind of matches the plot line. Maybe I could somehow take the plot line I have and apply it to the album, try to tell out the story. It's difficult, of course, in 10 songs to give you a complete plot. It's going to be just bits and pieces. But I did Save to Sinners and then Stirring the Flock and the Cyanide and Whiskey. And I was like, wow, it's kind of coming out cool. It's kind of more atmospheric now, and it has a theme that kind of runs through it. And we just kept on going. And it was a bit of a challenge, but I think it came out pretty cool. I think it's kind of cool to have something that people can listen to in their own minds, create their own movie sort of, and just make the story their own in their own heads.
And relate to the music and relate to your own daily lives.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. Now, what about, I was always wondering whether INC has a plan of doing a crowdfunding campaign, because that seems to be, some, let's say, a future approach for bands looking at how the music scene is right now.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because while we were on tour, we had talked about that, about doing a crowdfunding in the future. So it is something that we may go with in the future. It is nice to be able to be in charge of your own destiny, to give fans something unique and special for them, maybe something autographed, maybe a limited edition. Like, we make 200 T-shirts that were only going to sell just to these fans,
Right.
you know, and so we were thinking of different items that we could maybe come up with, and then maybe fund our own project down the road. Of course, this album just came out a month ago, so we have a bit of time. But yeah, crowdfunding is definitely something that we would consider for the future.
That's amazing. Now, looking at, because INC as a band has faced a lot of issues with the record labels. I mean, it's just you call it as a bad luck or a wrong time, anything. But how do you feel? I mean, as a musician who has that skill to to unleash hell, album after album, how do you feel that the record companies have changed, and what sort of impact does it make on a band?
Yeah, it was difficult the first time around. We were making records in the 80s. I think the recording industry has always been a tough one. You constantly read, bio books about famous artists that sold millions of records and they got shafted. They didn't make a penny. Mm-hmm. So the recording industry has always been a minefield for musicians. But now, of course, with illegal downloading and it's so easy to access music for free, basically, right, that it's even more difficult to get these record companies to spend money, and it's more difficult for them to recoup it. So it's even tougher than ever. So yeah, I mean, that's why the crowdfunding is always a good idea. If you have a good following, you might be able to finance your own recording and promotion and everything. But it is really tough. I mean, I know bands out there that are on their fourth album and they tour all the time. And I mean, they got to pull teeth just to get a budget, So right. It sucks. I won't lie to you, man. It really sucks.
Absolutely. Now, what are the plans of you guys playing live again? Because you're just done with the tour. So any other plans of heading to different countries?
Oh, well, we would love to. It's always it's trickier, of course, because if you're an American band, it costs a lot of money to. So it's definitely in our plans to get out to Europe. So we're gonna have to see what happens. We're working on a booking agency now in Europe, and we'll hopefully go to tour sometime in the spring. That's our plans. I understand in India there's a good metal scene, so we'd love to get out to India one day and play in front of a stadium full of people. I'm sure metal's a rare commodity there for an American band to get out there. So I'm sure we'd have a really good turnout if we got ourselves to India.
Absolutely. Now that's really going to be an honor to see you guys. But I really hope in future we get to see you. Thrash metal, INC, great combination in India.
Yeah, badass, man. That'd be awesome.
Oh, wonderful. Now, before I end the interview, I'd like to ask you a simple question to define Black Hearse Serenade in just one sentence.
Ooh, Black Hearse Serenade, just one sentence. It's a big bowl of unexpected. That's what I would call it.
Wonderful, Erik. Been an honor having a chat with you. I was wondering whether you have any connection with the India, because your second name Barath is actually a common Indian name.
Yeah, it's funny. When we're on tour, we sometimes stay in like little motels, and quite often there's Indian proprietors, that own the motels, and I put my name down. I'm like, oh, are you Indian? Because I am actually dark skinned. I'm Hungarian actually.
Right.
I was born in Hungary, but I'm quite dark skinned. I'm olive skinned, so I look kind of Indian. Oh, you Indian? And I'm like, no, but I've had at least 15, 20 Indian people tell me, oh, you're Indian, right, Barath? And so yeah, I'm pure Hungarian. Barath actually in Hungarian means friend. That's what the translation is. But we have a lot of Indian fans, and I've had Indian fans hit me up and say, well, you got to come to India and play, and we would love to go. Especially, there's all these countries that people don't think about when you think about metal. They think America and Germany and Sweden and the UK, but there's so many great other countries, like India. I know that Thailand has a great underground metal scene.
Japan.
Indonesia. So there's a lot of great countries out there to play, but it's always a matter of logistics, about getting the band out there, and you need at least funds just to get the band and the equipment out there. So that's always the challenge. But we would love to. Listen, there's not a corner of the earth that I wouldn't love to play.
Absolutely, Erik. Had a great time with you. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much for taking time out, man. Awesome. Rock on, dude.